in sound of today.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Tap the Art of Physiotherapy. I'm Joel Kryczka, sport physiotherapist. Today I'm going to take a little bit of a break from some of the normal things that I talk about, like, injury rehab and getting back on the mats and performance-based training. And I really want to give a shout out to what I would consider to be the best BJJ belts that you can buy. And it's by a company called Eosin Panther. It was started in 1974 by a gentleman, Vincent Lee, and his wife, Linda. And it's been moved now down to Georgia. And I'm not sure if Vincent's still involved in it, but I sort of interacted with Mira, who kind of runs the show at the front end, and the customer service is unparalleled. The quality and craftsmanship that goes into the belts at Eosin Panther are over the top, and you can adjust the length, the width, you can customize anything you want on a belt. And I think traditionally they started out with Taekwondo and karate belts, and they've moved over into Jiu-Jitsu. And some of the top competitors in the world use them because the quality is just there. And I truly think that, for Jiu-Jitsu people, it's not just a hobby, it becomes a lifestyle. And so it's important that, for you, if you've earned a rank and you've worked your butt off to get to a certain belt level, reward yourself and get something that shows off how much you care about your sport. Again, I've been with Eosin Panther since I was a blue belt. I kind of stumbled across it. There were some reviews online, and I just really liked how they looked. I like the clean cut of them. I like how, again, in this particular, all my belts are 1 3/4 inch thick. And so they have 12 lines of stitching down them, and they do a really good job, I'll show you in a sec here, a really good job of kind of cleaning up how it looks. But when it came time to do my black belt, I approached Mira at Eosin Panther, and we had long discussions. Sometimes what I felt was over the top conversations, but it just goes to show how much they care. And when I say over the top, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there's no insult here. It's just, like, for example, I'll show you in a sec when we do close-ups, but I wanted embroidery on there, and it was talking like, here are the different options of white. And is it shiny? Is it matte? Where do you want it positioned on the belt? So I had to do things like tie my belt and take a picture of it, and then she would put the logo on there with different options, and you get to choose all this kind of stuff. And so it's a bit of a process, but it makes that reward that you finally get to put this piece of artwork on you and wear it every day, and you're proud of it. And it's amazing the number of compliments that you'll get. And I struggle with compliments and those kind of things, but I'm really proud of this belt, and that's kind of why I'm doing this. I would never promote a product otherwise. But they don't do a lot of social media and whatnot. They have, like a couple posts on Facebook and whatnot, but it's all word of mouth. And I think a company that's been around and supporting such high quality in our sport deserves to get as much praise as possible. And so I'm hoping that for those jiu-jitsu people that watch this video, I highly recommend just going to the website and checking out and seeing the quality out there. Or if you live near me, I'll show you, it's amazing, the difference. But I'm gonna move the camera here, and then I can do some close-ups and just kind of showcasing some of the highlights and differences that you see between a typical jiu-jitsu belt and then this piece of artwork by Eosin Panther. So first off, I'm just going to showcase sort of a quote typical belt. I'm not going to say what company it's from because it honestly doesn't matter. I'm not trying to put anybody down. I'm just trying to elevate Eosin Panther and really get them out there. But hopefully you can see if we look at the stitching. I'm just going to try and get that to zoom in properly. This is 1.5 inches thick, and it's got 10 stitches all the way along. If you can see the stitches, they're pretty straight, but they're really not like bang on. And some of the craftsmanship on the end, it's just a straight line. Okay, so again, nothing horrible by any means. One of the things that you start to notice subtle little things is if you look at the wrap right on the side here, again, it doesn't match up with the belt. And I know that seems like such a small detail, but you'll see in a sec here that it actually really does kind of show. And I'm not sure if I can get that. There we go. So again, this is folded in half and this is wrapped around, and you can sort of see that the stitching is on the upper third on that portion. And then the stitching for these, it's only 8 wide. So again, I mean, it looks good, but it's just, again, now I'll pull in the Eosin Panther one, and hopefully you can see some of the difference here. And again, I'm just gonna try and get that to focus there. So again, this is 1 3/4 inches thick. It's got 12 stitches all the way across. Every single stitch is absolutely a straight line. There is not one stitch that is out of place. There's not one that has like a cut in it or anything like that. If you look at the end of the belt, it sort of squared off at each level. And then when we look at the fold on the side, it absolutely matches. So this is folded in half and stitched, and this is folded in half and stitched. So they do a really clean job of making sure that it's not something that's gonna get caught, it's not gonna rip off. This thing is absolutely sturdy. And what's interesting about Eosin Panther is that when you look at their belts, everyone likes to kind of have belts that have like a really cool wear on them. If I take my most worn belt, which would be the purple one, the way the embroidery is done, it's almost like a ripstop. So it's not just going to completely fall apart. It has to kind of rip through each little level of these 12 stitches. But I find that it does not, you can't ever catch it on anything, which is always my concern. And it has a nice fade on them. So if we look at like the blue, it's a nice blue color. The sides, they just get a little bit of wear and tear on them, almost like a denim look. But again, I find that if you look at any of the squaring off that you have, it's really, really clean. And as you can see this one, the lines a little bit better in terms of like the 12 stitching all in a straight line, and how everything is just super, super clean in terms of just how they do it. Now, the other part that I wanted to showcase, which was the embroidery. So again, one of the things that I wanted was to make sure that the embroidery for my company was standalone. I'm a little bit of a minimalist. And if you turn it over, you can actually see where they've put the Eosin Panther logo. It's kind of a cool logo in itself, yeah? So, like so. And, but what's neat about it is that you can't even see how they stitched that on there, on this side. It's very, very, very clean. And for those of you that were paying attention, you'll also notice that the embroidery is on one side, but it is not on the other. And that is absolutely cool. I don't know how they did this. I don't understand how, again, if you really think about this, they've stitched the belt together with 12 lines in a perfectly straight line. They've made sure that everything lines up nicely, but you do not see that embroidery. Most belts, when you get embroidery done, it will have it on like in reverse on the other side. And I find that doesn't look as clean. You can do it, but all I'm saying is, this is the difference between Eosin Panther and any other kind of belt out there. And so, again, all these kind of features make this belt stand out. Again, you can look at different thicknesses, widths and lengths, so you can customize all those, as well as looking at some of the different fabrics and softness and whatnot. And just on a side note, just to show you here, like this is another belt where you can kind of see that they've you can see, I don't know if you can see that right there, but just some of the off stitching, and that's where the logo is on the back side of this. Versus again, if you look at this one, you don't see any sort of that. So it's really, really clean. So again, I mean, I know this is a bit of a nerdy thing to be talking about the differences of belts and whatnot, but I really do hope that on your journey towards getting your different levels of black belt, that you sort of really do celebrate some of the things that you've done. And that's a really good way to kind of showcase how much you care about your art. And thank you so much to Mira at Eosin Panther and Vincent and or Linda, if you are still working your amazing craftsmanship, thank you very much. You should be very proud, and I hope the community supports you 100%. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Please make sure to go out, and I'll put a link to the Eosin Panther web page on here. Just go check it out and see if it's something that's for you. And I know it's a bit pricey, but so are a lot of things in jiu-jitsu. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the mat soon.
The in sound of today.